Okay, welcome back to my ongoing video. Today I am just sorting out some bits and pieces that I seem to have either lost or not printed originally, just to assemble the feet in particular. And I'm also at the same time just finishing off the Cyberman head, about to glue that together. I've had about 3 or 4 coats of the white paint, the same paint as I'm using on the R2D2, and it's still got some print marks in it, joins in it, but they're sort of going away. So I'm sort of I'm going to give that a sand down and a bit more seeing to. But I'm just it's had a few coats on so far, so there's a few marks, but they'll sand out. And I'm still thinking about putting the gunmetal finish on it, which should fill up any gaps. I mean, I've got there's some gaps in the middle there, which I'm going to fill with some small filler. Because I was hoping the paint would fill it, which it is. I'm not too worried about that, because there's not really much I can do about it. So I'm just going to sort of fill that up, and it looks like it's been welded. So maybe that's what I'll do, actually, get the 3D pen and sort of weld it together, so it looks like it's like a metal join or something. So make it look like it's intentional. There's a couple of bits I've just got to sand down there with some running paint, and there. But this is just after a couple of quite thick wet coats I was putting on, where you spray one coat and then put a really thick wet coat on top of it. I've never actually glued these in, so I'm going to glue these pieces in a few minutes in those bits, and then I can just give the whole thing a thorough. I keep going over it. Also, I've got my printer working again. I haven't actually printed anything on the printer. I'll just pan it around. Probably hear it in the background. I haven't printed anything on this for just straighten up the camera, since I think February or something. So it's just been sitting there getting a bit dusty. So I've given it a really good cleaned off all my bench, because it was just total mess everywhere and dust everywhere. So I've given the workshop a good clean out. What I'm printing at the moment is just the strut bar, if I go back here, that supports the holds on. I'll show you. Swing those around. It's this strut bar here, which is shell bar, I think it's called, left and right out shell bar. I believe that's the right one, because I've written right on that one, so I'm printing the left one. I couldn't find the other one, so I'm hoping I've got those to work around, because they're not quite the same. So that's never been glued on, but that would hold that power bar or battery holder or whatever they're called onto that piece. So I'm just printing the other one for here. There's a few other bits and pieces that I seem to be missing, just small little greeble bits and pieces, so I'll do them later. Those were the ones I've just got to sand those down. They're the ones for the actual I've got a bit of work on that, for the outer legs, but I think I need to look at the drawing again, but I was just scanning through it, and I don't think I've done them for the inner leg. I think that needs one, because it's got a couple of silver bars on it. So I've just got to look through the bits I'm missing, but I thought I'd get the printer going. I just had to give that a complete XYZ align, and then another little program I've got there which allows you to set the the actual fine-tune the amount of PLA going onto the bed, because the first print I did, it was too thin, so I've just did that quick alignment, where you can do a live Z alignment on it, and it's let's go back to that. It's printing fine. So I mean to get that up and running again, because I had that all completely bent and twisted around and pushed to one side, so it was really quick to get that up and running again, which is good, because as I say, I haven't used it for ages. I just had to update Optoprint, because again they've got a new version, and that was a bit worrying, but I'm now on 1.3.11, Octopi 0.14, which is working fine. And because I'd even had the Pi in bits the other day, because I was using the cable, the unit for something else, so the whole thing had been unassembled. So, but anyway, so what I'm going to just do is glue him together, glue his, I don't know what they call them, his pipes onto that. Just go through various bits and pieces. On just down here, just pan down, sorry, it's a really sunny day, so it might be in slight darkness. That's the dome. I'm going to give that later on today, when it gets a bit cooler, actually a wet sand down to start getting, it's a bit dusty at the moment, to start getting a good finish on that. The reason why I'm certainly going to give it a wet sanding, it's how effective it is, because I'll just show you the difference between a couple of bits that I've wet sanded and a couple of bits that I haven't actually. So let's just pan back up again. So I'll just pause for a few minutes. Okay, back again. Just tidied up the bench because, as you know, I've got hardly any space here. I just wanted to show you the difference between a wet sanding and a dry sanding. Wet sanding with emery paper, so you just damp the paper down and sand it. This was wet sanded. The finish on that is really smooth. I mean, and then I used a slight. I've got a bit of run there actually, so I've just got to sand that off. That was just painting, but the actual surface came up really well. I actually primed that with some different car paint, which was incredibly smelly, so I stopped using it. It really stank the place out, but it was actually a very good base. It didn't do any harm to the plastic, but it was incredibly, I didn't like the smell of it at all, so I thought I wouldn't use that. So I've just gone back to standard plastic, Halford's plastic undercoat. But that had a wet sand down, and that didn't. And you can, I don't know if you can see the difference in, admittedly, it might be something to do with the printings. I mean, that printed extremely nicely, remarkably well. But the whole finish is different. The whole finish of that is so much better than that. I mean, this is fine. I'm not going to wet sand this, but it is worth doing, and if you've got the energy and the time to do. Actually, there's a slight colour difference there as well. That's because of the undercoat primer, which is a little bit annoying, but that's one of those things. You can see that's a lot. You can see quite a bit of colour difference actually. I don't know if it's coming out in the camera, but it is obvious to look at. That's more white. That's slightly creamier. I mean, it could be the number of coats I've got on it, but I think it's the undercoat, because that was an orange undercoat on there. Also, I think I put a coloured base on there as well. So it's just been its base coats are different, but that will sort out. But I am going to do this emery paper wet sand to the dome to get a really good sheen on it. I was just looking through Mike's Facebook page, and some of the I haven't really been up to speed on what's been going on the Facebook page or any of the blogs for the last couple of months, the last few months, but there's some astonishing domes. Absolutely astonishing. The finish some of the people are getting on them is incredible. So one which was just like mirror like, I'm not sure whose it was, I must find it out and I'll put a link to it, but it was just incredible. It just, you could see yourself in it. Not that I've any intention of trying to do that, because apart from anything else, I've got nowhere to store R2D2 and it'll just get damaged anyway, so I'm going to get it up to a level of quality, weather it, and then I'm not sure what I'm actually going to do with him, because I haven't got space in the workshop, so it's going to go in the house somewhere. And it'll get knocked, so I'm not trying to go for perfection, but I do want to get the weathering right and everything, so which is I'm getting very near. I've almost I'll show you some other bits actually. I've sanded. If you look on my photo blog, you'll see a lot of this. This is actually I've been doing loads of photographs and uploading them, but I haven't actually got this on the video yet. I've got to give this another sand off, but I'd forgotten to stick that bit onto that bit. Well, I'd forgotten to put the base on the main body either. Well, I'd forgotten, but I hadn't got around to it. So I'd filled that in then and given that a quick sand down, and that's just had one coat of paint on it. So I've just got to sand that in a bit. There's some paint marks in there which I can get rid of, and fill marks. So, but the actual, and that's got to have another sand, but I'm certainly nearing completion on the painting, definitely nearing it. I've been working on the lower ring, so I think I mentioned earlier. I araldited it together and bolted it together, and I think that's going to be all right. What I'll do is I'll actually show you that now, so I'll just go off camera again.